the fear barrier, because reading something that, and it probably wasn't a trivial program, to go at that without any knowledge, and to have that self confidence to be like, I'm gonna figure this out. How did you did you not have any fear about, did you not have any internal anxiety about, this is too complicated, I can't figure this shit out?
Yeah, there's always that. In fact, that's personally something I struggle with a lot.
Right.
Is interfacing with someone who's super smart, and in that environment, I dubbed them the Unix gods. They're literally, it's two heads of state, and one focused on AIX and the other one focused on HPUX. And they, to me, were they were my goal. I wanted them to be I looked at them as mentors, and then I realized that they were not just to me, but to everybody. And so I had to overcome that fear and realize that all I had to do is read this thing. And again, once I was reading the Unix in a Nutshell book, the mystery, the code became, it's kind of like Neo and starting to see stuff. You read it and it makes sense. And so at that point it was great. And so how I tested it was at my home Linux box. Yeah. So I wouldn't actually do the FTP step. Okay. I would actually just kind of run the thing and then pretend it's doing the FTP, comment stuff out. Right. And then realize oh, the missing thing is FTP. So
nice.
Test it once. Okay, it worked. Tested another night. It worked. Tested a third time. I was like, this Goldie, squirted to production. But yeah, I think that's something that I want to make sure that everybody understands when it comes to Modus's culture. I don't want anyone to ever have the fear that when they interface with someone who may be more experienced, that they're less than. Everybody has a journey. Everybody has to climb the mountain step by step. It's we were talking about going to the gym earlier. Right. You go, you see these super fit dudes doing 30 pull-ups with 60 pounds on their belt, I mean, lo and behold, one day they started doing pull-ups where they could barely do 1 or 2 or 3. Right? So they built up from somewhere. And so we often find people where they're at the peak or, on the up, and we don't think about the journey that they have to go through. And so, when it comes to everybody I've interfaced with Modus, and there are tons of people who are way smarter than me in so many facets, I don't have the fear of saying, I don't know what this is. Can you just at least point me in the direction where I should look? I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'll try to tackle things by myself, but I know enough not to wait too long. There's a negative effect. Trying to think it's like a negative investment. At some point you start to spin so much that you don't get the positive reinforcement, or you lose valuable time is my point, right? So, we used to joke around years ago when Let Me Google That For You didn't have a ton of advertisements on it. It actually did look like Google. So when someone asked a question, we'd be like, oh, let me Google that for you, blah, 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 and shoot them the Let Me Google That For You link, just to mess with them. But it is good for people to try on their own, but we don't want people waiting too long. If that makes sense.
Right. There's a balance between, it's kind of a return on investment on your time.
Yeah.
You want to understand the thing, and you want to learn the thing, and you want a little bit of pain getting there. Mm-hmm. Or you don't want it to be, if it's something you don't know, if someone just tells you, there's no value in that. You want value in knowledge. But there is kind of a negative correlation with waiting so long that all you're doing is staring at that and just feeling stupid.
Right, right. And it actually reduces your ability, I think, to absorb that material.
Right.
And what we absolutely don't want is the people who want to be told every single thing.
Right.
It's okay, what do I do next? What do I do next? And then they sit idle. It's wait a minute, no, dude, you build, not figure it out, but go hunt the next task.
Right.
If you're not being tasked, ask someone. Don't just sit there with your hands on your lap. Yeah, that's about right. Sitting on your hands. And I think, part of what makes people successful at Modus are those go-getters. That, I don't think people have to be super hungry, but at least, have an appetite, right? Not every day is going to be 110%. It's not sustainable. Right. But, there are times where it does make sense to start reading on things that you're not comfortable with.
Right.
One short example is we have engineers out of Romania who have gotten Scrum certified. Old school industrial command control model would dictate that, dude, you're not a PM. Why would you ever do that? But we don't live in that world.
Right.
Modus is not that place. So we say absolutely. And it only makes that engineer stronger, those engineers stronger, to understand the language and the process of agile software delivery,
Right.
so that they too can interface very well with the project managers and so forth. So that pattern plays well across anything. Like
Oh yeah.
when I work with the reason I joined forces with Pat isn't because I have some business. I have 0 degrees. I'm literally just a. No, I'm kidding. No, but seriously, I don't have any
Very smart
classical
one.
training. Well, I appreciate it. The reason I joined forces with him is because I saw the opportunity to learn a ton from him, but also the opportunities, believe it or not, this is going to sound stupid, that will create new opportunities, right? So if we're, at the first few years of Modus, I'm learning about the basics of running a business and, looking at the finances and so forth and how sales organizations work and all this other stuff. Fast forward to today, I understand the concept of value of cash and how capital, if capital is cheap, for example, the prices of businesses and houses go up. But if the price of capital goes up, those prices of the businesses that are being sold and the houses are being sold go down to compensate for the value flowing to the bank, who is now taking that money at interest. It's strange to say that, but my point is,
I understand none of it.
learn. Like that truly is like a core pillar for Modus.